You know?
Looks like we're on.
I know I'm going to panic now and go back and check. I know it's on. It's definitely on. Hi everybody, welcome to the Big Oggie Bakehouse. Welcome to Thinks with Drinks.
It's been a while.
Yeah, if you're a subscriber or were a subscriber to our old channels, you'll remember things like Thinks with Drinks. And if you're a subscriber to the Big Oggie Bakehouse from when we first started it, there's been quite a gap.
Yeah.
We used to do Thinks with Drinks fairly often. Mm-hmm. So we're bringing it back because we like a chat and a cup of tea and just really get to know you more. So if you want to make comments about what we discuss or about anything you'd like us to discuss in the foodie world, I guess, and the Cornwall world, even the golf world, I mean, they're all linked to the channels. Mm-hmm. So if you hear the oven, we're actually cooking today. You have been cooking. I just sliced onions for you and stepped behind a camera. We're doing lamb pasanda.
We are, because it's National Curry Week.
Curry Week. Gotta love a curry. But because we have a bit of spare time in between the stuff, we have redone a recipe that we did very, very recently.
Yes.
Because
I wasn't happy about it.
Yeah, you weren't happy.
And somebody else then wrote after they tried the recipe and theirs didn't turn out great, and I don't like it when I do a recipe and then somebody tries to recreate it and it goes wrong. That was
Chris. Chris is assorted stuff. And when we made this the recipe is the apple and lemon drizzle
cake,
which we got from the National Trust, which tasted fantastic.
It did.
But it was a bit thin when we made it.
It was thin. I mean, we made it, as the recipe said, in an 8-inch cake tin or a 20-centimetre cake tin. When I poured the batter into the tin, I did say at the time that it didn't seem to be that much.
Yeah, well, I was wondering how much it was going to rise, and it didn't rise very much either.
Well, the outside stayed very thin. It wasn't biscuit-like, but it was thin. And the middle rose a small bit.
Yeah, I likened it to a Genoese sponge, which is that kind of one-layer sponge that you get.
So, it was okay, and it tasted wonderful, and it went like lightning. The kids
it was gone
loved
in a day.
it. It was just gone.
And they're very fussy eaters, so for them to love it was a massive success. But Chris made it. Someone else made it with gluten flour. It didn't work.
Now, the thing with gluten-free flour is, I know from talking to people that do cook with gluten-free flour that quite often you have to add extra bits and pieces to it.
Okay.
So I have no experience with gluten-free flour, and I could not possibly comment because I don't know. No,
we will have a look at some gluten-free recipes to give a few a try, but honestly, we've never done it, and I
don't know. Yeah. Chris
has assorted stuff on YouTube. He made the recipe to our specifications.
Yeah. The only difference with Chris was that he used a gas oven.
Okay.
So I don't cook gas. I have cooked gas in the past, but I'm not 100% definite or confident on what a oven temperature from a Celsius to a gas mark would be. Now, I used what they'd said in the recipe on the National Trust. So I think it said 170 degrees for a fan oven, which is what we used. And that, they said, corresponded with a gas mark 3.
Okay.
But Chris had said that it'd been in for a little while, bearing in mind the recipe only was supposed to cook for 30 minutes, and I think he said it had been in for 10 or 15 minutes or something like that, and it still was completely runny batter. So he thought he needed to higher up his oven, which he did. He put it onto a gas mark 5. But when it came out, the first thing was that it was very, very thin.
Yeah, there's no rise at all.
The second thing was that the greaseproof paper that he'd used, even though he'd greased the greaseproof as well, it stuck to the bottom of the cake and he had to literally scrape it off. So that to me was a double fail, and I don't like.
Okay, my question about that is if you've seen the recipe, and if you haven't, please go back and have a look, because the recipe is really good.
Right, let me show you.
My issue was maybe that he put all the lemon drizzle through, and that made it sticky on the bottom, and that's had a problem with the paper.
The thing with greaseproof is there are different types.
Yeah.
So I use this from Sainsbury's, which is greaseproof and baking paper, but it specifies non-stick. And I have bought other baking paper that didn't specify non-stick, and everything stuck to it.
Yeah, he said he greased the paper, but it made no difference.
So, but when I read the box of the other stuff, in fact, I've given it to Georgia because it's great tracing paper.
Yeah, great for tracing paper, yeah.
The normal baking paper is quite often just for wrapping, so it's for wrapping sandwiches and things like that.
Yeah.
So whatever you get, it has to say non-stick on it. Now you can get, I know they do them in Sainsbury's, I'm pretty sure they do them in Tesco's as well, you can actually buy inserts to go into your cake tin, which are already greased and they're non-stick, and you can just buy them so that you don't have to keep drawing around things and cutting them out.
Okay.
So that's one thing to do, which is I use those particularly if I'm doing a loaf cake.
Yeah, the brand loaf that we do.
Yeah.
Definitely use them for that.
So, because in a loaf tin, it's quite tricky to cut a piece of greaseproof to fit into a loaf tin properly.
Yeah, we've got spring-loaded tins, but even with the
so I only cut greaseproof for the bottom. I grease the tin well around the edges. As you can probably tell, it's gone quite crispy here again. But I don't line the outside of the tin. I just line the underneath. Now you saw me get this cake out and the bottom just peeled off with no problem at all.
So what have we done here? Because this is Mark 2.
What I've done now is I doubled up the ingredients.
Yeah, which we did suggest possibly being an idea on the video.
So the cake
is taller.
It's taller, as you can see. It still was in an 8-inch, 20-centimetre cake tin. I doubled up exactly everything. And there was a lot of mixture that went into the tin. But I knew that it would be a hit and miss bake, that I would have to keep an eye on it. And actually, it was my own fault. I didn't take enough time because I had to go out with Ben. And so I left John in charge.
Never leave me in charge of an oven.
Now, it had been in for about 40 minutes and I took it out to test it, thinking it might be almost done, but it wobbled.
Yeah, it was nowhere near done.
And when I inserted a knife, it was still liquid in the middle. So it went back in, and I reckon this cake has taken about an hour and 20 minutes to cook.
Yeah, it's a very wet mix. Sounds a bit
it's more like batter. It's
yeah.
like a batter. It's not like a dough. It literally is batter-like. So
cut it and see.
Let's see. So John reckons it was done when he took it out.
Yeah, I've taken it out, put it in, taken it out, put it in, which is the kind of thing that probably Chris did and most people would do when they're testing out a cake. There is a lot of fruit in this, which is another reason when you put your knife test in, it comes out quite moist. So we'll see. Yeah, that looks right.
Yeah, looks like it's cooked
look, see, I knew what I was doing. Trust me, I'm a doctor.
So, as you can see, it's a solid sponge. It's a bit Madeira-like almost.
Well, it is. It's quite a dense sponge. Okay, but actually, that looks really good.
So that has had double all of the ingredients, including it's got 2 apples in it. So it will be moist because it's got 2 apples in it.
Give it a try. It's still hot, obviously. But
it's still warm, yeah. It's yummy.
Very good.
You can see the apple strands.
Which I really like. I like the fact that when we grated the apple, you got the apple strands in it, get a bit more texture. That's very nice. I'm sure when it cools down completely, it'll be even better. But that's very good. We didn't quite double up on the lemon drizzle because it would have flooded it. We used about 2/3, of what would be double, so 1.5.
So, but again, I probably would have been a bit braver with the lemon drizzle than John was.
She warned me before she went out, don't use all the lemon drizzle.
I said you may not need it.
There you go.
So
it's very good.
But
so it's better.
Yes.
More like a cake size.
Absolutely. So I would say use double the amount in an 8-inch tin, but be prepared to keep checking it. I'd say initially, I would say probably don't even bother checking it until it's been in for say 55 minutes.
Yeah.
The top will look brown,
The edge is quite crispy.
And the
but actually
edges
that's not
look
a
like they
problem.
were coming away, which they do come away.
But they're not burnt. They're just crispy, which is nice actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
So
Don't panic about that.
no, leave it in for a good 55 minutes before you start checking
I think
it.
that your temperature is quite a low temperature for most things in an oven. So
Well,
we'll take-
170 is not too bad. But anyway, it's a thick cake, and I think that's the thing.
Yeah, very good.
So,
then.
leave it for 55 minutes, then check it. If it's not done, if your knife does not come out clean, now be prepared for a little bit of interpretation there, because obviously, like we said, there's apple in it, so it's not going to come out
Never gonna come out
completely dry.
No.
But you'll know if it's wet, cake mix wet, or if it's just wet because it's moist wet. If it needs to go back in, leave it, I would say, initially for another 10 minutes.
Yeah, do it 10 minutes.
Because otherwise you're going to keep opening the oven and the temperature's going to drop and it's never going to cook. So leave it for 10 minutes, check it again, see how it goes. If it's sort of nearly getting there, then do it for 5 minutes. But you will have to sort of check it out yourself. I can't say it's going to take 45 minutes or 55 minutes or an hour and 10 minutes, because I think it's down to the individual oven and obviously the cake mix amount.
Now we do know a certain relative, your dad, without saying names, your dad, who will look at a recipe and be told 55 minutes and just take it out at 55 minutes.
Yeah, regardless,
Yeah,
because it says it's going to be in for 55 minutes, and so that's as long as it's staying in, it's 55 minutes. So,
Which is fine to a point, but sometimes you have to be a little bit.
all
put a bit of
ovens
leeway
are
with recipes.
different.
Yeah.
And recipes are purely suggestions in a lot of ways. But the thing with a cake is almost a bit of chemistry as well. And you have to have enough of this and enough of that to make it work. The other thing that might also impact is I used large eggs.
Okay.
It didn't say on the recipe,
what size?
Medium, large, it didn't say. But we always use large eggs. So in this cake here, it's got 4 large eggs. If you used 4 medium eggs, it wouldn't be as wet as it was.
Okay.
So those things, again, an apple. Well, what's a large apple and what's a medium apple?
Exactly.
I mean, this is a medium apple.
In your eye? That's a large
That,
one.
for me, is a large apple.
Yep.
But they both come out of the same pack. So what are you going to do? Again, it's going to have a variation on your cook. So try that. Make sure you've got proper non-stick paper. You can also buy foil now, which has got baking parchment on the other side, and that says non-stick too, and I've used it and it is non-stick. It's very good. It's brilliant for doing fish. If you want to poach fish in its little packet.
On pipette or
Yeah,
called,
on papette.
That one.
Yeah, in the oven. That is brilliant for that. But yeah, check out, make sure it says non-stick. Still grease your tin, and hopefully it will come out fine.
Okay. So, what else are we talking about?
Well, I think the other thing as well is, even today's cooking, we're making curry today.
Yep.
And this curry we've made from absolute scratch.
Which was great fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the first time we've actually ever made the full works from scratch, individual spice curry.
Yeah, we're like most people. Well, if we want a proper curry, we'll get it from takeaway. Or we'll get one from M&S or Sainsbury's or something in a pack. I think that'll be okay. Or we'll buy a jar.
Exactly.
And then think we're making a curry, but it's not quite the same.
No. So this time we have gone for the full works, and I found a recipe for a mild lambasander.
Yeah, it's always going to be mild in this house. Yeah.
So, but it recommended that you made a base sauce first, which I did. I followed their recipe again, as you do. It said there would be enough for one
For
serving.
one meal, for
Yeah.
one serving to use in the next part of the recipe.
It did.
No.
I mean, actually,
It's
my
over here, man. We've got
Yeah.
the jug about this big.
my
and it's
mind
legs.
was telling me at the time that 5 large onions were not going to cook down to 500 mils.
We had a feeling it was going to be a bulk
Yeah.
thing here.
So it actually made enough for 4.
We reckon 4, maybe 3 now.
But saying that, when I used it in my recipe with the lamb, I didn't feel the 500 mils was quite enough, so I added another 200 mils and a tiny bit of water to give it a little bit of, loosen up a
So
bit.
again, you have to do these things by eye. Trust
Yeah.
the measurements to create something, like the batch of
Yeah.
the sauce, etc. But when it says things like cover the meat or cover the vegetables, I think in the other part of the curry you were doing earlier, or even in that bit you were doing earlier, you have to make adjustments by eye.
And the other thing that you will notice with me as you're watching along, and we're doing more savoury recipes particularly, and not pies, because I found that when I look back last time we had done an awful lot of pies.
It should have been the Big Oggie Bakehouse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whether it was meat pies, whatever, or fruit pies, there was an awful lot of pies. Cheese pie.
Yeah.
I mean, God, there was pies. So I've tried to stay away from that this time, and we're going a bit more down the savoury route. And so what you will notice is when I'm cooking, I do not like to fry.
Yeah.
I don't like frying food. I don't particularly enjoy fried food. I don't like the greasy texture of it all. So this recipe in particular for the lamb passanda, you needed to brown your meat in a casserole on the hob in ghee, which I did, and I've used the right amounts of ghee and stuff. But their then recommendation was that the whole casserole, or the whole curry if you like, which is in effect a casserole, was cooked on the hob. Now my thinks with drinks for that is that when you cook on a hob, particularly my hob because it's electric, the heat source is directly under the casserole, and the casserole is sat directly on top. So where the ring is where it hits my casserole. My casserole is actually oblong or oval shape, so it doesn't fit on a round ring properly
so normal,
anyway.
The Crusade style,
Exactly.
not the Crusade, but it's the Crusade style shape. Yeah.
So it was never going to sit properly on the hob and cook evenly, if you like. And I also think if it's sat directly on top of a heat source with no diffuser, when you think of gas, it's got that griddle thing that you sit on and the gas comes around.
Goes around it, yeah.
There isn't that with an electric hob. So there is the possibility, high possibility in my eyes, that recipe could catch on the bottom and burn. And when I've invested all of my time into doing this meal, the last thing I want to do is lift my lid off and look in after checking 10 minutes earlier and it's burnt on the bottom.
Yeah.
Because once you've got something burnt in a casserole, you cannot get away from that taste. You just can't.
We're not saying caramelised is wrong, because that's what you had to literally do to the meat. That works, and the chefs will all go caramelised, but there's a difference between caramelised and crusted to the bottom and you can't move. Yeah.
So for me, the best way for me to do my style, if you like, is to prep it on the hob like I did, but when it says to put the lid on, turn it down and let it simmer, I take mine off the hob and I put it in my oven on a low, about 160 in my oven at the minute, and I'll leave it in the oven. And the heat in the oven, obviously, it's a fan oven, it's all around the casserole, so it should not burn.
Miss,
yes.
Question, Miss, do you think that it's also because you're a mum? Because I'm very wary of things on hobs. I know our kids are grown up enough now to not have a problem.
Yeah.
But if you've got a family and kids are running around or whatever, it's always more dangerous having stuff on a hob. Certainly if it's going to be there for what could be 2 hours, like this curry would be, and you can't stand there all the time. You have to go and do other things. In an oven, it seems safer.
It does,
Done, put away.
I mean, from my point of view, when the children were small, I always had a baby gate on the kitchen so that they couldn't come into the kitchen when I was cooking. That was just the way that I did it. I know, other people do their way, and that's absolutely fine. From my point of view, I think because I've run kitchens in bars or cafes or whatever, I've done both bars and cafes. When you're in charge of preparing food for other people and you're charging for food, it has to be cooked to a good standard.
Sure.
And so, for instance, if I was this is so stupid, but if I was going to do a cooked breakfast for someone, yes, I would fry my sausages. I would put them, if I was prepping at the beginning of the day and I knew I had 10 people coming in for breakfast that were regularly in for breakfast, then I would put those sausages in the oven and cook them in the oven prior to when they came. If somebody arrives that I wasn't expecting and wanted a breakfast, so therefore I had to cook it quicker, I would stick those sausages in a deep fat fryer.
Right.
But I would not fry bacon. So my bacon I would do under the grill. Mushrooms, again, I don't like cooking mushrooms in water.
There's
just
this
not
health
right.
thing now about mushrooms being in water, and they just taste disgusting.
They're just wet and slimy.
Yeah.
So I don't like that. So I always had a different way of doing my mushrooms. It's just different ways of doing things. I think even when it comes down to, I think my exception is chips. I don't think with chips you can't, oven chips or whatever, to me they're just not weird. They're not right.
No, they never have been right.
So the only thing that I would say that I would fry, although I have bought an air fryer.
We've got an air fryer actually
absolutely,
now, so we don't actually
and I don't fry at all now. I use the air fryer and that works perfectly. I think it took a little while for the taste to change, but chips would be the only thing.
Okay.
I don't tend to fry anything else at all.
I don't know how we digressed into frying.
Well, no, but I will dry fry.
What things with drinks happens.
Yeah.
What we do.
I do dry fry your bacon occasionally.
Yeah, true. Oh, bacon. Oh, I love bacon. But we're digressing.
Yeah.
Another question we had, because obviously this is going to go on for a long time, and I know how long this takes to edit. Well, actually upload, because it's on a 4K. Why I got this on 4K, I don't know. We did the potato gopher mash the other day.
Yeah.
And Eddie Rowe from the Golf Channel, or my lovely Cornish friend, mentioned something else. Cornish raw fry?
Raw fry. And actually I'm going to...
We're going to do this, aren't we?
Yes, we are. I'm going to speak to the butcher, because the thing with raw fry that I've looked it up quite a bit. I've done a bit of research on this. And the main thing with raw fry is that you need decent bacon.
Okay.
So the bacon that you buy in most of the shops, and even some of the butchers now, are still pumped full of preservatives and water.
Yeah.
So when you fry it, it's got that horrible watery white stuff that comes out that then burns on the pan and you can't do anything with. So the thing with raw fry is you need a good quality bacon that is not had water put into it.
If you don't know what raw fry is, look it up, or just wait for the video, because it's just fascinating. It's just good.
I mean, it sounds delicious.
Yeah, it's another one of those proper home cooked, wholesome autumn winter style recipes.
Absolutely.
But it's a Cornish thing.
So I'm going to speak to my butcher next week, because my butcher does his own home cure bacon, which doesn't have any water in it, I don't think, but I will check with him. And the other thing about it is if you can get your bacon in a piece, it's much better. You don't want thin rashers. Okay. So you need a piece of bacon that you can cut into chunks.
We could
a bit like lardons
again, like we did before, but we could do it
a bit like lardons, but probably a bit bigger, I would say.
Okay.
I know of some people that have used ham hocks.
Yeah, that would work too.
Because of it, but again, you need to check that they've not been injected with water.
Another way we're having this conversation, most people haven't got a clue what we're actually talking about. They don't know what raw fry is, so we're discussing ham hocks and bacon in different ways. You will find out.
Raw fry is basically bacon, onions, potatoes, and swede.
Which is turnip in Cornwall, but it's Swede to everybody else. Yeah.
And you fry it. You fry it on the cooker, or you fry your bacon on the cooker. You basically want to render some of the fat out of your bacon.
That's why you want proper, decent bacon.
Exactly. And then you coat your vegetables with the stuff that comes out of the bacon naturally. You don't add any more fat to it, so that's fine for me. And then you use either a stock or just water to basically just about cover the top of your fry, or almost cover it. And then you just leave it on the cooker to simmer, basically. And then when it's all soft, it's done. And it's called raw fry because when you look at it, the vegetables still look exactly like they did when you put it in.
Yeah.
So it looks like it's raw,
but in a strange way,
it's been fried.
Because you're kind of cooking it in stock, it's a bit like, what's those potatoes?
Fondant potatoes.
Like fondant potatoes. It's got that kind of idea with it.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be lush.
Yeah.
It's going to be girt lush. That'll be a proper job.
it will. It'll be something, I reckon, that'll be absolutely delicious with a nice crusty loaf and some bread and butter.
We'll give it a go.
Yeah.
So that's one of the recipes that we're doing very soon. We're going to finish this quite quickly
Yeah.
because I know how long it's going to take to upload.
Yeah.
So we want to do these things with drinks quite regularly. Our plan, depending on Kelly's health, because obviously we're trying to do a video almost every day on the golf one and this one and the Cornish channel as well. So our plan is to kind of intermingle them so that you all get to see something every day if you're on all the 3 channels. So we're hoping that the foodie channel will be a Tuesday and a Thursday.
Yeah.
Because the golf one is Monday, Wednesday, Friday and Sunday. So Tuesday and a Thursday, and hopefully if I can organise a Cornwall video on a Saturday, we'll do that.
Okay.
But that's the ultimate plan, if Kelly's well enough. So we are trying to make some videos right now, the foodie one to keep it going. But basically you'll get 1 recipe a week minimum.
Yeah.
And if we have to do things for drinks and we'll throw that in as well, that'll be fine.
One thing is, if you do make one of our recipes and you do have a query about it, if it doesn't come out how you were expecting it, or you change it slightly and you think it's better,
yeah.
or take a picture of it and upload it to us. That's the first thing, because I'm really interested to see
send
your
us
stuff
pictures
as well.
of your attempts, good or bad. We'll put them on the things for drinks.
But if there is a question, like Chris had this problem with the cake, he contacted me, I will do my utmost best to try and find out why it went wrong and how we can improve it.
That's what we're here for. It's a community.
Exactly.
We are trying our best here.
But I don't want you to think that this is a channel that, you read the recipe and you do it, and if it goes right, brilliant, and if it don't, well then that's just tough, because that's not what it's about. If it doesn't live up to expectation,
we will try.
I want to know about it so that I can try and improve that. Okay? So I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it. We will be coming up with some other ideas very soon. I've got an Irish cookbook I want to go through a few things. We've got some puddings to do.
Yeah.
Halloween is nearly here, so I'm
Absolutely.
kind of thinking we might do a cocktail one. We did a cocktail one on the golf channel for the Masters, which is hilarious. Well, I enjoyed it. It was lovely. We're going to start doing some cocktails as well, so I think that was quite cool.
Yeah.
But if you've got any ideas you'd like us to make films of or recipes of, let us know, and maybe we can get some of you on the channel to do a few recipes as well, and we'll put them on. We'll see how it goes. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Please subscribe, please hit the notification bell, do all those things. God, now I stand at the golf channel, it's all off my head. Please subscribe to Big Oggie Bakehouse, so to Big Oggie Cornwall, which is our new channel, and Big Oggie Golf if you've not on there already. It's not just about golf, it's just a bunch of nutters hitting the ball about. Okay?
It's quite funny at times.
Even you're watching. In fact, you are even thinking of taking part. Yeah, we shall see.
We'll see.
Yeah. Bye, everybody. Speak soon. Hope you enjoyed Things for Drinks.
Have fun. Eat cake.
Eat cake.
Bye.